Today then, I'm going to change the gearbox oil on the 306, a job that is long overdue. When I bought the car, I noticed there was a grinding noise from what I assumed was the front wheel. And then when I put it through the NCT and it failed, I realised that it needed a new front wheel bearing. And I thought, well, that makes sense because there's noise coming from it. Got that changed, and then the mechanic said when he changed it, oh, there's a bit of a grind coming from your gearbox, have you noticed? And I thought, oh, is that what it is? Oh right, okay, I thought it was the wheel bearing. So I went underneath it there a couple of days back and noticed some quite significant oil staining on the bottom of the gearbox, which obviously suggests that there's a bit of a leak. Now, I've read online that the gearboxes in these things are pretty robust and pretty hardy, but I don't want to, of course, risk it grenading itself because it's got no oil and it's a reasonably easy and cheap fix. So I'm going to change the oil, top it back up. I would be very surprised if it's ever been done in this car's 27-year life. And I can't actually see any videos online, any tutorials, so this is going to be one of those, I suppose. So the first thing then for me to do is to remove this airbox housing. I'm going to be putting the oil in through the reverse light switch, which is right down there where my finger's pointing in there, you see. Not got a particularly good angle there, and I had that out for the NCT to fix the reverse lights. So for me, it's just the easiest way of getting in and out. I read online that you can do it that way, no problem at all. I think the actual plug is right next to it in there, you see. There's a little breather tube on top of it, but that just means removing more stuff and possibly taking the battery out, so couldn't really be bothered doing that. So if I can put it in through the reverse light switch, that's the route of least resistance. So let's get this section off here, and then we'll pick it up when that's off. With that section of the airbox removed, you can see how much access I've now got to the reverse light switch, which is just sitting there. So I'm going to unplug that and unbolt it from the gearbox. That's just the easiest way for me to get in and out of it to fill it with oil. That little black brown item down there, I think, is the actual gearbox plug, but I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to take the reverse light switch out. We've got it jacked up as well. No need to take the wheel off, I don't believe. You can get to the bottom of the gearbox where the little filler plug is. I think that actually might be it there, potentially. I'll have to double check the Haynes manual. But you can get to that obviously from here with the wheel off, better access. But you know what, I think I'm just going to go underneath. That's just a bit easier for me. Anyway, let's just give the Haynes manual one last check before I go ahead and drain the oil. So that there is the gearbox, and that there is where the drain plug is. And I've just loosened it there, so see, this is where the oil will spurt out literally everywhere if you're not ridiculously careful. So yeah, here goes nothing. Then I suppose I better start loosening this. Don't want to do it too much in case it spurts out, really. How are we with? Pretty well placed under there. How much have we got in there? Let me just... Oh, yeah, nothing has come out. That's a little bit worrying, actually. That's very worrying. Let me just show you what that looks like. Yeah, nothing has spurted out. That's concerning. And we'll explain why my gearbox has been so grindy for so long. That's the actual plug there. It's full of little iron shavings. Well, at least I haven't got the driveway of the road soaked in oil. Yeah, I suppose I better fill it then. There is the plug there from the bottom of the gearbox. You see all those little iron shavings magnetically attracted to it. That's not particularly unusual, especially for a car of its age. But yeah, I dread to think what the bottom of that gearbox looks like. It's probably full of chunks of metal. I might just have got to this one in the nick of time. I haven't been doing extortionate mileage in it, thankfully, anyway, because I want to keep it in as good a nick as possible. Yeah, judging by the lack of oil coming out and those iron shavings, it's well overdue an oil top-up. That then is where the reverse light switch would be. And here it is then. So it's a funky little mechanism there, presses in, and then you plug it in and that activates the reverse lights. Now, my only issue, I suppose, is to find a funnel or something that I can empty the oil into that gearbox from. That's not going to be the easiest thing in the world, so yeah, let's get searching. The first gloop of oil is in. Let's carry on with that then. nice and slowly. It takes 2 litres apparently, and there is a plug on the side of the gearbox where you can check the level. I haven't even located that. There's no point in me doing so because I know that this gearbox is pretty empty from what we've seen already. I did try to put some in and spilt quite a bit of it there. I was just going for the one funnel and just dumped it in, and I missed a bit. But anyway, no harm. Let's go for the other bottle. I'll just open that up, just give me a moment. Let's continue filling then, just nice and slowly, through my ingenious 2-funnel method. I'm gonna dump all of this in, I think, because it needs it. Every last drop. Wonderful stuff. There we go then, and that hopefully should cure my grindy gearbox. I just pray it hasn't done any long-term damage, which it may well have done. But hopefully got there just in at the nick of time. Right, let's put that back together. Let's pop the reverse light switch back in, the airbox back on, start her up and bring her for a drive. This then is the moment of truth. So the gearbox has been refilled with oil. She's in neutral. Let's flick her on, put the immobiliser code in, and hope for the best. Here we go. Bit nervous. Okay, she started absolutely fine. Let's engage some gears and see if she explodes in a ball of molten hot metal. Clutch in, into reverse. Okay, she is moving, which is positive. A very tight parking space that I've put her in here. Okay, so she's moving, she hasn't exploded. Still a bit of a grindy noise from the gearbox. But I'll wait to judge it fully, just in case maybe it needs to be fully coated. This seat's a bit far back actually. There we go. Into second. It's very, very warm in here. I don't want to put a window down because it'll ruin the audio quality. Third. Still in third. Yeah, it still sounds grindy, a bit. But I'm not going to judge it just yet. Let's get it out onto the open road. Let's put it through its paces and see if it's actually made any difference at all. Okay, so we're now on a nice long stretch of country road here, and I'm currently doing 60 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour, 60 now in 5th gear. And I can still hear the gearbox, but I don't think it sounds as bad as it used to. It hasn't solved all of the grindy kind of gearboxy noise that it probably shouldn't have. But, you know, I mean, it might not have solved the noise issue, but I mean, it did need gearbox oil, and that was very clear to see when I pulled the drain plug out and nothing came out of it. So it's not as if this job is a failure or it's been a bad job. It's a job that needed doing. It's just I can still hear the gearbox. Just not as bad as it was, I don't think, but I mean, it needed it, so it was a job that I definitely had to do. I'm now going downhill. We've got a lovely long downhill elongated stretches. I'm doing 50 miles an hour with the foot off the accelerator, just so I can listen out. Bit of wind noise. And yeah, I honestly don't think it's as loud as it was, which obviously is good. I mean, considering there was virtually nothing in the bottom of that gearbox at all. You know, the gears changes always felt lovely on this car, which backs up the post I read online on the Peugeot 306 Owners Club forum, that the gearboxes in these are pretty resilient. yeah, I don't doubt that at all, because this one looks like it's had no oil in it for quite a while. I mean, goodness knows how long. One thing, of course, I'm going to have to now keep an eye on is the actual gearbox, to make sure that it doesn't leak a whole lot of oil. I mean, there's no harm in me just keeping it topped up. I'm not too keen on spending big money on getting gearbox oil seals replaced and all that kind of stuff, but if it's leaking a lot of oil, maybe I'll have to. So now we're coming then to a stop sign into third gear. It's around now that you'd often hear the gearbox as you're slowing down, as of course the engine gets quieter. Still hear it. I can still hear it. So yeah, it hasn't, as I said previously, fully solved the noise problem, but at least I've got peace of mind that it's a lot better in there than it was 2 hours ago. So at least that's one job done. The next then that I desperately have to get done is to get this thing serviced. Now, I could throw it into my local garage, pay 150 quid and it'd be sorted, but I've never serviced a car before, and I mean, if I can do a gearbox oil change, and if I can change the spark plugs on a Renault Clio, then why can't I do a full service on this? Just got to make the two things together, haven't you? That's definitely going to be the next task then for the 306. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, share wherever you can, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and there'll be plenty more Crap Car Collective action coming soon. Thanks for watching.